Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Monday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and today we're going to take a look at the forecast coming up for the next few days, starting with our system here on Monday, and then a little bit of drying as we go through Tuesday, and then more active weather returning as we go to the middle to the end of the week. So starting here with the satellite imagery, you can see that system that is draped across the area this morning. That's going to bring rain across Western Washington as we go through the day Monday, and maybe a little bit of convergence zone activity as well. Taking a look at the radar right now, you can see some showers moving across the area. This is only going to be light rain, only getting a few hundredths of an inch out of this, except in areas where a convergence zone band sets up around Snohomish County that could get up toward a half inch. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Starting here with high temperatures yesterday, you probably noticed that on Sunday there it was a nice and warm day across the region, and when you look at some of these temperatures, you can see that that was definitely the case. Look at the parts of the Seattle lowlands. Up here, Tacoma in the low 60s, Seattle in the mid to upper 60s, even some low 70s showing up there around parts of Snohomish County. As you go north, we remained pretty warm just across most of the region, especially relative to November standards. But still, if we let that load up there, this will be the only other area we show, and it did get up into the 70s, upper 60s, low 70s for some regions. And then, you can see that they're around Mount Vernon, and then take a look at areas around Bellingham, upper 50s, low 60s. Same thing there on the coast as well. So it was a pretty warm day across the area. Those mid 60s were pretty widespread, and it definitely felt nice out there. You didn't really need that big of a coat or anything like that. And we did kind of get that continuing again this morning with some southerly flow, bringing highs in the 50s already today before it even got before sunrise. But that is going to change as we go through the next few days. We're not going to continue with that warmth. Starting here with Monday morning, you can see that ridge starting to move out of the area. That ridge remains until Tuesday, but we do have that system in here. We remain dry on Tuesday, but then look at all the troughing moving in as we go through Wednesday into Thursday. That continues all the way into Friday before starting to push off out of the area. We have a brief ridge potentially going through the area there, giving us maybe a drier day on Saturday. That's not a guarantee. And then we do have more troughing moving into the area as we go into the beginning of next week. Taking a look at the precipitation type forecast here, you can see as we go through today, you have these showers across the region, and there may be a little bit of convergence zone set up there, but not super likely. Dry as we go through Tuesday, and then as we go into Wednesday midday, we start to get rain moving into the area. That continues, gets heavier as we go into Thursday, remaining raining all the way through Thursday night. Look at this convergence zone setting up here from roughly the Paulsbo area all the way over towards Stevens Pass, bringing some decent snow accumulation to the mountains and some heavier rain as we go through Thursday night. That continues into Friday morning, and then we have another system moving in there as we go through midday Friday, bringing more mountain snow this time, and then more rain to the lowlands, and then that turns showery as we go into Friday night into Saturday morning, and then it does look like there's more rain offshore going into Saturday evening, but we may remain on the drier side there. You can see across the lowlands on Saturday. Taking a look at the radar this morning, you can see the high-resolution rapid refresh model showing some areas of rain moving across the lowlands as we go through this morning, and that is about it with this system. Maybe a few showers on the coast, but that is it. And then we will be dry for about a day before our rain starts to move in on Wednesday. Taking a look at the European model's total forecast rain for this system, you can see areas from Everett northward maybe getting up toward a third of an inch of rain, maybe a little bit more around Everett there with this system, otherwise about a tenth of an inch or so across the region. However, as we go out through Wednesday there, you can see that next system starting to move in. Those rain totals start to pile up, and then that continues as we go all the way out into Friday. By the end of the week, by Saturday night there, you're looking at about an inch to an inch and a half from Everett northward and on the coast, and then in the lowlands here from Everett south through Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, down toward Portland, you're looking at about 3/4 of an inch to an inch of rain going through the end of this week. You can see up to an inch and a half on the Kitsap Peninsula, and then in the Cascades and the Olympics, areas that don't get snow, getting 1 to 3 inches of rain. And taking a look at snow there, this is all the way through Saturday, and you can see we get about 4 to 6 inches there over Stevens and White Passes, maybe 2 to 3 inches over Snoqualmie Pass, and then start to build that snowpack a little bit more, some of the higher elevations in the North Cascades and then the volcanic peaks to the south. But overall, not a ton of snow coming up this week, but a few inches for the passes maybe on Friday. And now taking a look at temperatures, you can see today we're remaining warm. A lot of these highs actually occurred right at midnight, and the combination of a ridge of some southerly flow coming straight out of the subtropics and a little bit of offshore flow as well is what enabled us to be so warm yesterday, and that kind of is what enabled us to stay warm going right into midnight. However, we won't equal these temperatures again throughout the day, so your highs already happened and they will remain in the 50s through today, but then we will cool down. Highs already in the mid to upper 50s, a few low 60s out there across western Washington. You can see mid 50s on the coast as well. Going into Tuesday, you can see a big cool down, highs in the low to mid 50s across the region. Most areas remaining in the low 50s there. As we go into Wednesday, we warm up a little bit more there with some of that warmer system moving in. Highs in the mid 50s across western Washington, except some low 50s on the north coast and in the northwest interior. And then going into Thursday, we cool back down, highs in the low to mid 50s across the region. And we cool down even further on Friday, highs in the upper 40s to low 50s there on Friday. Coolest south of Olympia, but still pretty cool day across the lowlands. And then going into Saturday, we have a brief break between systems there, but those highs remain in the low to mid 50s across western Washington. And then taking a look at our extended outlooks, November 15th to 19th, that is almost all of next week. You can see the temperatures now, we were above normal for quite a while. Now we're near normal and maybe a little bit below average. So that temperature pattern is kind of starting to switch a little bit. We'll kind of see that take hold over the next week or so here. And then looking at precipitation, not really much to talk about here. Basically, the entirety of the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii, is above average here for November 15th to 19th. So this just means it'll be wet like usual in the Pacific Northwest. And then taking a look at that European model ensemble forecast, you can see that system today, pretty good agreement on the ensembles about that. And then look off into the extended here, just pretty active. You can tell that there's not a ton of agreement in terms of what systems will hit when, but what you can tell is that there's a lot of rain showing up on these ensembles. So this definitely is a good signal that it'll be an active pattern. So stay tuned for more on that as we go through the next few days. All right, thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe here to Western Washington Weather on YouTube, and then follow me on the Western Washington Weather Facebook group and on Twitter and Blue Sky, and be sure to subscribe down below. So thank you all very much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.